Greetings. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so it's close to midnight. The cats are going to have their own video tomorrow. Finally got around to doing that. I have a cat with me right now. Luckily, she's not tearing down the background at the moment. So let's see if we can do this. She's not leaving me. So I guess she's probably she's here, because Priscilla's here, but she's not in camera though. Usually she doesn't sit with me like this. I do channelings, but usually she's tearing up the background. But the Jesus energies, I guess that's probably why the cat's here with me like this. I've been doing more looking into the Jesus timeline, and for those that have experiences with that time frame, so I'll go into my history on it, what I'm aware of, and I don't know. It's a lot of people are connected to that, the Bible time frame. So I'll go into some of that. The Queen bloodline. I guess they're all married to each other. Their cousins are all married to each other, and it's a nice redneck family over there. That's freaking great. Oh, it's just, I don't know, man. Nice Anunnaki family you got over there. I imagine they would marry closer, like closer cousins, but it's like, was it William and Kate are like cousins by 14? Like 14, I don't know how that works, but either by 14 something. That's still, she's still your cousin though. So it's still messed up. Anyway, that's the way it is. So that's fucking, I don't know, that's hilarious. Yeah, they had like a genealogy thing that went out there that's on the line. I think it's been out there before. It was like, oh geez, it's just it's almost embarrassing. well, I guess when you have all that power, but still. Yeah, I mean, people are worrying about all the Illuminati conspiracy theories and all that. You just look at the bloodlines there. Even like, was it Obama is related to Dick Cheney? So I think even the Bushes are related to the Queen because they kind of look alike in some ways. Like their teeth are very similar. So anyway, another thing is Umbrella Academy. That's a comic. It's also a show on I believe Netflix. I've seen parts of it, but I've heard about it. And from what it sounds like is a timeline war. Basically, there's like the apocalypse is in the future. No, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. But even their team members get switched out. Like some are born as, just all kinds. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that because there's only so much I can remember for this. But yeah, if you can find an explainer video about it, it's pretty insane. Yeah, something about, I think they connected to the universe or some kind of apocalyptic. Anyway, it's timeline wars. That's what it comes down to. And some people are like, from what I've heard, are kind of, at least with the season 3, the finale or something like that, they're kind of confused or don't like it. Well, because it has a lot of messages in it. So it's just a place where they can download what's happening here. Of course, the show Loki has that too, like with the main timeline. So yeah, they've been revealing a lot of stuff recently. Of course, there's other stuff out there. Was it a Showtime show? There's a show on Showtime. I can't remember the name of it. Where they're talking to aliens. I'll have to look that one up. It's my list of things to do. So oops. Okay, right before we jump in, this is our return to comment prior sessions. We have a schedule, we have a shop here. I'm in the middle of June, same situation here with webinar tomorrow. Social network behind the scenes. Thank you those that use the social network. I'm glad, I think it works better than the other one. You can chat easier on it. Works great. So I'm not in there. Very often I forget. So I got other stuff I'm working on. So the Jesus energy, not something I was ever looking into. Of course, I come from a family that is religiously insane. At least one family member. Yeah, my church experience is not great. Yeah, I'm one of those people that just don't like going to church. Not just because it's boring. It's because the agenda that's connected to it. I'm like a Baptist, I think, something like that. But it's gross. Anyway, it's a great place to meet people. I give them that, but still, the energy there is not great. I guess it's a good babysitter for kids. Yeah, it's part of social stuff. Anyway, so with the Jesus energy, was my experience. Um, like when I started to open up my abilities around 2011, technically I could have been doing this. I could have been doing this since then, but I kind of, there's different reasons, but I got pulled into this basically. But we're going to the Jesus stuff first. So the Jesus stuff, I just went to an intuitive school or a psychic metaphysical college actually. So you have like your reverends and things like that of metaphysics, and they're like, I talked to like one of the head guys. He just saw me, for an hour just to give me some insight. And yeah, it just told me not to tell anybody what I'm tapping into, not to tell people I work for. They also asked me if I knew Jesus. It's like, okay, it's like, and that was my first connection there. And then when I started doing this, people can pick it up from me, the Jesus connection, and I'm not looking for it. It's like I am not looking for any of it. Even this whole channeling direction, and I got pulled into the spirit world, kind of pushed me into this. Basically, it's like you need to do this because obviously everything else I was doing was not going anywhere, and I don't think people really understand what that is. I haven't really gone into details of that, where things are really not good in the past. Not to say they've improved greatly, but either way, this is where the universe wants me to be. So even if I come here kicking and screaming, it's like there's other things I could be doing. Nope, this is why I'm here. I'm here to do this. So here we are. So the Jesus connection, because I've been researching more of his energy. I'm doing channeling energies on him, other realities of him, and stuff like that. I'm looking at what's the Passion of the Christ. I'm just researching more of him. Jesus calling himself the Messiah, which might not have been a good idea. It feels like, I can feel my own aggravation when I was like, why are you telling people this shit? It's only he's the king of the Jews. Like, that's like, it's like, you're asking, it's kind of like asking to die, especially when you go into Jerusalem and you start going against their methods there. Just when you tipped over the bankers or something, they tipped over their table. And that pretty much was his death sentence, basically. I mean, it looks like they were letting him do whatever he wants, even if they weren't for it too much. But when you do that, and of course you have John the Baptist, they cut off his head, and Jesus obviously didn't have it as easy as that. So I guess they were making he's just. Some people see Jesus dying on the cross, some people don't. I believe it was part of more of the cross incarnation. And this whole was it Peter, like telling Peter that Peter would deny Jesus. It's like, dude, you're about to be put on the cross for pretty much your stupid decisions. It's like Peter has every reason to deny. Because he kept saying he didn't know him 3 times. And can you blame him? I mean, that wasn't his, that was Jesus's kind of, that was his fault. He put himself in all that. He did all that himself. He's telling everybody he's the Messiah and all that. And, whatever works on that. But just he walked himself right into death. So it was a death. So either way, I can't tap. I'll tap into his energies, but yeah, it was like I don't know my position there. I do feel like I did know him because I could feel. It's like I can feel a part of me is like, what? Are you out of your freaking mind? And he kept doing it. He kept he wasn't listening to any common sense or anything like that. Just it's kind of like he got possessed. Not exactly from a dark being, but kind of possessed by his own, you know, whatever you call it, ego. I don't know necessarily it's an ego, but yeah, the healing abilities, I believe, did exist, and that was a lot of people have that ability. Maybe not to his extent, but they did have. And the disciples, some of them did have that capability. He taught them how to do it. Of course, the energies there are so much different than they are now. They didn't have Facebook and all that. God. But obviously, we're going through the same things currently. So, yeah, and you can say he wanted to be a savior. He technically earned during his time. Yeah, he's just talking, just not doing himself any favors. Just so, either way, he still has a lot to learn. Let's put it that way. I guess we all do, but he's, anyway, that's at least one connection I have for him. At least my take on him. Yeah, it's a good energy. I don't tap into him very often publicly, but feels like he has to be mentioned every now and then. So okay, I was connected to something like Christ consciousness. Of course, there are others here that have the Christ consciousness. Some people do want to be worshipped. You can feel some of that. Some do connect to actual abilities, but some are. Well, they feel like they can. Oh, that was the other thing about Jesus and the bloodlines, which I do feel like there are bloodlines here, like his family, like his children. Of course, he had a lot of relationships too, which is obviously not in the Bible for obvious reasons. But I believe he had a lot of. I think he had a lot of kids here and there with different people, and that's part of the bloodline. I'll be able to track it. It's going to be very difficult, though. I feel like there is some bloodline energies out there, though. So I imagine people can pick up on it. It's just not easy to pick up on, but I believe those people are still here. It's just how do you find it? It's not part of the elites. The elite have their, I mean, obviously they can track it down, which I don't believe they really have. It's like it's scattered. It's all over the place. It might be as potent as what they want it to be, but they can't control it anyway. So anyway, but yeah, there's a lot of people that can get their healing abilities. Obviously, they're careful on using them for nowadays. Even in modern day, if you're walking around in modern days telling everybody you're the Messiah, obviously you might get your own YouTube channel. But I guess it all depends on how you. This is bad. I guess you can say he got a high off of getting attention from people, so he just went to a step further. It's like I'm king of the Jews. But so many were listening to him. I guess you can just say, okay, I'm your king now, something like that. Yeah, you can say there are other realities where he is king of the Jews, which is kind of. I don't know if that has the best energy around it. Either way, he's a flawed person. Let's put it that way. Aren't we all? So at least that's my take on it. So, like I said, people feel like I have a connection with him. There's never anything I would ever connect to. It's not something I would ever associate with. And that sounds funny. it's like it's not something wow, just can't wait to connect to Jesus. It's like, no, not really. But people keep picking up on it around my energy connected to him. I don't think it's manipulation. Because why would they say that? What's the reason behind it? So, and I do feel like there's a connection there when I feel like I just look at him, I was like, well, he must be out of your mind sometimes. And there's good things he does, but then I would say he kind of use people without knowing it. All those crowds. So you kind of, you see that nowadays. So some take advantage of the situation. So either way. All right. Without bashing him anymore. All right. We're going to Jesus consciousness. I imagine people can tap into some of that. Others are in the worship stages of it. That's all right. That's your own healing, because there are other people here that are healers that are during that time. And they can remember him. Maybe they can't remember everything, but they feel like there's something there. There's definitely something there. Okay, we'll go to Queen. Queen. Talk about the opposite. It's like go from the Jesus energy to royalty. That's like horrible. That's like that's just everything wrong with the world. I mean, there's some good stuff there, obviously. I mean, isn't that the savior of some people right now? They're all marrying each other's cousins and all that. That's okay. Everything's fine as long as you're wealthy and get away with it, I guess. Of course, a lot of your Illuminati families do the same thing. So, well, that's why they have different family. I imagine there's still some cousin stuff going on there. That's hilarious, and it's within a lot of these religious, kings and queens out in Europe and all that. That's hilarious. Yeah, big happy family. Keeps you guys close. And umbrella family at timeline war. So just basically tap into what they're tapping into and go from there. One thing about the umbrella academy, they are tapping into apocalyptic realities. It doesn't mean that we're going to go through that, but there is some remnants of it here and there. We're kind of going through our own apocalyptic reality currently, but it doesn't mean it's going to be. That was the other thing about Jesus, about the he was talking about the apocalypse himself, if I heard that right. Fuck. See what I mean? Yeah, we're gonna go see whatever. I guess he even prophesied his own return. It gets better and better. It's like what are you doing? Anyway, all right. Talk about say, hey, I'm gonna turn myself into a deity. Well, it worked. So, okay, all right. Connect to the Jesus consciousness. That doesn't necessarily have to be Jesus's energy, but just consciousness alone, and we'll move on from there to Queen Abadel, Queen cousin over there, Queen Redneck. Okay, all right. Blessings here. Greetings to Christ consciousness. As you can see, yes, there's a lot of difficulties of connecting to the vibrations of the astral. You said the human ego does get involved, but also the high to help people. And the high to help people was you feel like your energy is there to assist others where you feel like you're the only one that can do it. And you can direct others to find their own healing abilities. So the Jesus consciousness, he got, yes, a little bit more over his head, you can say. Well, he was directed to say these things when others are giving their power to him, so he wanted to give them direction. And there are some that did go to Jesus for figuring out their own lives, to ask a question because they couldn't make their own minds up. As some of you can probably tap into that. So little by little, many will receive information about, the Christ consciousness, more about Jesus' timeline, if you wish to connect to it. There's still some that have not fully connected to their spiritual selves. They're still trying to find the answers. And obviously many people here are still blocked from their spiritual direction. They feel like they have it all understood, but still it's not always going to be clear. It is a mystery to the spirit realm. It is not perfect either. The spirit realm is running through the physical, and that's why you are all, of course, spirit beings to connect to other people. That's what you call a download. People are receiving knowledge from the spirit realms, where spirit beings, they might not be able to connect with you, but they'll connect to one of your friends, family, to connect with you when you absolutely need it. So some are still, it's the spirit realm isn't always going to be completely understood. As there's a multi-dimensional reality you're tapping into, and Jesus consciousness came here to forgive, but also to have his own sins and you're seeing his own sin here currently of not with Jesus consciousness. Does not really trust people that they can trust themselves. Part of him feel like he had to be like the father of humanity to a certain level, and you can see some of that. And of course, he looks God as father, but he also saw himself as a father. Well, I feel like he was the only one that can help people. And some levels, he was right to for certain individuals. So he did not fully grasp his full power during his time. There's still a lot of missed opportunities, meaning like a life that was more longevity that he missed out on. To basically become more humility, which wasn't there during his time. He was still a youngster. Even if he was 30, he was still very young. As many that are tapping more in. So many are similar to him currently. They have their own healing abilities that are extremely powerful. And he is they look to Jesus basically. They realize, maybe not to go too far. Well, as for how to act, to govern what you say, especially when it comes to society, because society has been older. It's an old religion here, and you have to be careful. It's respect. You might not like what's happening, but have some kind of respect. And Jesus didn't really have a lot. He did, but he didn't. Well, obviously, he messed with the wrong people. Let's put it that way. And so it's a teaching for others to see his faults, which are many, which are a lot were left out of the Bible. So some of you are tapping into that. But the idea is for you to kind of, no one's perfect. And that was the other, that wasn't the whole savior situation wasn't really his. I mean, savior for his time. And I don't believe he realized what he was getting himself into. But of course, he wants to continue to help people, and this is the way he's doing it by continuing with the Catholic Church, even if he doesn't want those connections as what they're doing, but he's been technically weaponized against people, where people are just want to rely on his energy, which is part of his energy. He still has not fully healed that side of himself. So, because he likes helping people, and it can take it too far, as some of you know. So, blessings. Brings you. We are the Queen's consciousness. Some of you obviously has been through a lot of battles with the royal family, and obviously look at things a lot differently. Where yes, you're not there to worship any of that, to more avoid, and you see. I believe many of you actually see the deeper end of the royal family or the British Empire or just the corruption in general. The reason why you go through these wars on this planet partially is so you see what's happening here. Instead of just speculating, you've been involved with it. You experienced it. You've seen the corruption. You've been part of the corruption. You were killed for the corruption. It's like it gives you some more idea of why you even incarnate here to begin with. I realize that's not always for everyone, but some of you need to know. Realize that's a more of a simplistic way of telling, explaining this world, the reality. But sometimes, as you know, people aren't always aware of the darkness on this planet until they go through it. So others say, "Oh, yes, life is good. Yes, it's difficult if it's working out for me." But others obviously are going through something different. And some of you, yes, are going through a lot of deep healing. It's not just from your war. It's your lifetime war. Some of you going through healing from the 100 Years' Wars, wars in Atlantis. You're all wars on other planets. Some of you are doing not. It's not all war. Some of you are just so sensitive to this Earth's vibration. You feel like you've been here for 1,000 years. This can be just your first life. And those that you they can handle, realize, everything's obviously done for a reason. Why some are so sensitive they can't really go outdoors. Well, they can, but they just feel everything. Well, you can say in some regard they came unprepared. But that was kind of the point. Everything has a reason. Like some people come here very sensitive, and they have a relationship. They're there to open up for their spouse to realize the alien world is really existent, because that person is truly experiencing how it is to be an Arcturian being or a Palladian being that's extremely sensitive here. Sixth dimension, seventh dimension, eighth dimension sensitivity here in a world that's lost itself. But of course, you're bringing a new energy here that the world definitely needs. Basically, yes, to keep the world from destroying itself, but many of you incarnated here so many lifetimes in the past to make sure the world does not destroy itself. Because it could easily. As some of you can probably feel that. It can take one person just angry enough to just dissolve this planet just like that. I think some of you can feel that power at times. Just like that. So, and yeah, there's a lot of the alien beings here obviously are lost. Some of them say they aren't lost, but some of you disagree with that. The Queen's frequency that's connected to cousins, and well, yeah, that's your elite trying to keep a hold on the bloodline for it to do as they want it to do. They do that in your royal families, but also the elite families themselves that are usually hidden. They want to make sure the agendas continue on. And yes, it is not the best vibration. It is, it's full of darkness. But that's why you're here to bring it to light, where a lot of these Illuminati families cannot hide anymore. So it just takes a while, maybe a long while, because it's once you see what's here, you can't go back. So you're unraveling darkness here slowly. There's only so much people can handle, because it gets very bad. As some of you already see it already, but there's much more. You have only seen a piece of it. Well, and that's where you're here to shine the light. It's like you're going under the bed to clean under the shadows, your closet, cleaning that out. You're doing that with the planet itself. And some of you, doesn't mean you have to concentrate on the darkness here, but you realize that that's what you're here to help reveal. And it's always, especially the royal families, and they know their faults. They know what they are. Are they proud of it? No. They just know that they've been chosen for it. Depending on how you look at it, if they sold out, that's up to you to believe what you want to believe. But they know that that's part of their mission, even if it is that type of lifetime is going to go on for many future lifetimes. It's just where the soul really kind of loses itself once again. It's like a puppet of the galactics, unfortunately. As some of you see. All right. Blessings. Brings you. We are conscious of the Umbrella Academy. There are, groups like this assisting the Earth, other versions of Earth, where magic does exist, where timelines exist, where they are trying to heal another world to heal yours. But where timelines get removed from your planet, taken to another world, where, you have your political leaders that are implanted for various different reasons. So you can do as you want, but you can, use your imagination to see, like, political leaders, celebrities, how do you see them? Those are in power. What's your vision of them? Is it wrong? Probably not. The more, that's you opening up your third eye. Well, that's one way of looking at it. And yes, it doesn't have the best energy around it. Yes, it's weaponized timelines that are here. The celebrities are agents from other realities, not control themselves. Not really. Some are, but most of them aren't. It's because they have all that wealth. Obviously, there's their talent to get people's attention, and then they become part of the control. So usually, as you know, celebrities do enter in freely and then leave imprisoned. So it's not always going to make itself completely clear. The timeline wars that are occurring here, there are other versions of Earth that have been decimated by this planet. There's, some of you remember, some of you call it the secret space program. But is this worlds that are one war after the other on other planets? And yes, you have more power. You can just because you have more magic and abilities to shift through dimensions doesn't mean that you're always going to make the best decision. So, and JFK is connected to that too, where the timelines with JFK is still alive, where he's not, and so on. And some of you, yes, are interlocked to JFK timeline. You can say to heal it, to expose it, to bring out more truth out of it. So there are Time Lords currently here that are talking about it all the time because they wanted to expose the whole thing, not just the alien side, but it goes so much deeper. Of course, there's also yes, the religious energies. All of those have been brought. A lot of your yes elites have their own religions. They brought them here. Of course, they changed it. Basically, when it's religion on any planet, that means there's an elite system here. Uh, it's because they go by religion themselves. They're controlled, but they get rewarded by controlling you, as you can see. And many of you are bringing back your power. It's not the easiest thing to bring back because you're under. It's a gradual process because it's just somewhat a quick energy. Some are healing their own maturity. It's like sometimes the longer the better it takes because you do it right. And so if you do it too quickly, everything falls apart. As some of you might know. Realize this isn't a message for everybody. Going deeper, this is not for everyone. Like timelines, how they alterate, how they do crash into each other sometimes. Sometimes that's why you have car crashes on your reality because two timelines came in and slammed right into each other. And so some people lose control even when there's like two different people on two different timelines and they literally crash into someone. And then sometimes they create another timeline and so on. So, and your sun's connected to it. Your sun actually is in other places, which makes things even more bizarre. It's not rising where it's rising currently. It rises on the opposite side. And that shows you are definitely a more higher vibrational reality, actually. For some of you that can tap into those energies. So even if your sun is blue, the blue sun does have a higher frequency connected to it, and you can see more, know more, where magic is more prominent in those realities. Not all of them, but quite a few. So that's a quick overview. So blessings.